Arriving in Japan for the first time, especially in major cities, can be a little overwhelming. It's the language, the volume of people, the signage. Everything seems to be so much more intense when you're a little bit out of your depth. However, the people are really friendly and mostly very polite and usually honest to a fault. When in doubt, if you're ever lost or looking for something or any kind of help you need at all, don't ever be afraid to ask. And officials especially usually have some understanding of English, enough to get by anyway. So if you're having trouble, I would look for a police officer or a rail official or even a bus driver, those kinds of things, and even shop assistants in major cities.
Today we visited the Japanese National Sword Museum.
The museum details the process by which Japanese swords are made, starting from the extraction from the ore itself and using specialized tools to fold and weld together steel, and then eventually to beat out the final shape of the weapon. The sword holds a very special place in Japanese culture, particularly due to the samurai and the power that they wielded. In the museum, there are some fantastic examples of swords from the 13th century right through to the Meiji era. The museum also contains some particularly high-value cultural artifact swords from Masamune, who is known as the Musashi of sword making, with one particularly beautiful example on display. Swords could vary from the highly curved examples of the late Kamakura period through to much straighter examples from the Meiji era. Whilst in Tokyo, we visited a martial arts dojo run by Suwazawa sensei. The dojo has been run for about 35 years, and I had intended to practice some Shinto Musaru. However, on this particular night that we visited, it was a Yoshinkan Aikido night, which is also run by sensei. It was very interesting to practice Yoshinkan Aikido with sensei and to feel the strong and powerful Jiu-Jitsu movements that are so closely related to the Jiu-Jitsu in Daito-ryu. Sensei got us to practice some waza with Jo at the very end, but unfortunately the full experience of Jodo, the Koryu art of Jodo, wasn't to be had this time. He did invite me back later in the trip, but unfortunately I was unable to make it. But it was wonderful to visit this beautiful purpose-built dojo and to spend time with Suwazawa sensei. Special thanks to my teacher Arai sensei for arranging the meeting with Suwazawa sensei.
So, getting around in Japan can be pretty easy. You can catch public transport just about anywhere and short walks to most things. However, you have to be very careful about being on time. If you're not on time, it's very easy to miss the trains and buses because they run pretty much on schedule. The other thing that you need to note in cities like Tokyo and Osaka, which are rather large, is the time it takes to get between things. Just make sure that you allow plenty of time for contingency when you're traveling to and from an appointment, particularly getting to a dojo that you don't know where it is. You must allow plenty of time to make sure you get to that, and of course to airports and Shinkansen destinations as well.
Travelling domestically in Japan can mean taking domestic airline flights, which can be quite cheap. You can travel on airlines such as Peach. However, be aware that sometimes costs can add up as extras, and legroom isn't all the best that it could be. Take a look at the legroom that Greg had on our Peach flight.